heading back. Looks like they've left some of their samples behind.
Sounds like a great opportunity to destroy those samples.
Alright, so that was the gameplay for this particular build. What's going on, guys? Warfare here. If you end up liking the video, definitely give a like and subscribe. So this setup here is going to be covering the future initiative setup. So this is entirely a supportive role, a supportive gear set overall to help heal as well as give damage buffs and skill damage buffs to your whole team. So gonna go right into specializations, running the technician specialization because we're gonna get that +1 skill tier. For that specialization there, cover and here. So going right back to it. So definitely gonna get that +1 skill tier amped. And you're gonna get that dismantling passive perk, so you can do some damage to the drones, skill proxies, robotics. Emergency patch. Armor kits also apply to all friendly skill proxies within 10 meters, so it's pretty good right there. We're not gonna use the artificer setup here, but the Faraday field also works pretty good, so it's gonna prevent any of your skills within range from being undisrupted. So it's pretty good ordeal to have. You'll get also that +10% skill healing, so it's good on us as well. And we're going to use that link laser pointer. That's going to be for the ACSG-12 that I'm running. So that's the specialization for the technician for this one here. Now for the weapons themselves, this whole gear set here is strictly based off of you guys not having any exotics for the newer players that are coming in. if you don't have the exotics in particular, this setup you guys can run and you can acquire. So for the third slot, you could use whatever you want for the pistol area here. Second slot is going to be that ACS 12 that I'm going to run here. I have flatline on this, so that gives me access to that free 15% weapons damage, and that's the other reason for running that, the technician specialization, because you get access to that linked laser pointer that you can throw on this ACS 12. Okay, and this ACS 12 is pretty easy to acquire. Just loot pool your shotguns and you should be good to go with all of that, you know, for the newer player base here. And then for the primary, I am running the black market AKM. For you guys, you can run whatever primary that you want. The biggest thing with this here is, well, one, I like it because it does hit a little harder. It's a 600 RPM at 50 mags or 50 rounds for the magazine, so it is slower to fire, but I mean, I feel it works pretty good. Talents we're going to run is the in-sync talent, and this is going to go hand in hand with the actual gear setup itself. I'll show that in a little bit. So let's see here. Remember your talent in sync. You hitting an enemy is going to grant that 15% skill damage for 5 seconds, and then when your skill or non-skill damages an enemy, you're going to get that 15% weapons damage for 5 seconds. When you got both buffs going, it's going to increase the damage. So instead of 15%, we'll doubled up on damage, right? So that's 30% for skill damage, 30% weapons damage. That's what you're going to get utilizing in sync. Now the gear set itself, we'll start off with, first off, this is a healing set here. So I'm already running Bellstone, so you're gonna get that 1% armor regen and then 10% armor on kill. 10% armor on kill really does help in combination with the regen itself. With the mask, and you can see with the mask, we got double crit hit damage and 1 crit hit chance, max out armor. Now for the backpack itself, it's still Bellstone again. And we're going to go armor core, double crit hit damage, and 1 crit hit chance. For this talent here, I'm running vigilance here. You're going to get that total weapon damage increase by 25%. Okay, so we're already going to be getting 15 or 30% weapon damage here in combination with the 25% weapon damage here. So 30%, 30, 25, we're getting, what, that's 55% right now. Okay, if you could get both buffs going at the same time to get 30% off of the in-sync talent, the combo off of this backpack talent itself. Okay, now that's for that portion here. Now the 4-piece setup here, 4-piece setup, this is your future initiative setup here. You're gonna get that 30% repair skills. For the 2-piece, 3-piece, 15% skill haste, 30% skill duration, on top of whatever mods you have on your skills currently already. So that helps out too. Now with ground control, you can see ground control there for the 4-piece. For your future initiatives, going to increase you and your allies total weapon and skill damage by 50% when at full armor. So as long as you're at full armor, you're good to go. So you being a supportive role, you're gonna constantly be healing these guys. And remember too, guys, like this whole setup, this is if you don't have exotics. It's for like the newer players here. Okay, when you get the exotics, then you go plug and play and then, you know, fine-tune the whole setup. But this is if you don't have any of your exotics and you're farming for gear and you're farming for this setup. That's what this whole thing is for here. Okay, so ground control, you're gonna buff your whole team 15% weapon skill damage. Now when you repair your ally or you heal your team, and you and all allies are within 5 meters of you are also repaired for 60% of that amount. Okay, so if you repair someone, you're going to repair all of your team. Okay, within that 5 meters, 60%. So that's what that's going to do with the ground control. All right, so now keep in mind we're already getting 30% here. If you get 30%, so between 15-30% weapon and skill damage. If you got both buffs running, combination with the vigilance, 25% damage there. So you're already gonna be at 55% if you get everything maxed out. 30% with the in sync talent on the AKM. So you could simply just add 15% to that 55%. So we're at what? It's like what? 70% right now. So let's see here. Now here is this setup here. This is straight skill tier. All 4 pieces are a skill tier core. Now for the chest piece, I got crit hit damage or double crit hit damage. For the gloves, we're rocking crit hit damage. For the holster, it's crit hit chance, and for the knees, it's crit hit chance. Now, what helps this even more so now is the chest piece talent is running the tactical superiority. So that's going to increase ground control damage bonus from 15 to 25%. Okay. So now with going backtrack into vigilance, you're already going to get 25% weapons damage here, and now you're going to get 25% from the chest piece over here. So now we just bumped ourselves up to 50%, right? In combination with the in sync buff as well, you're gonna go from 15%, you know, per weapon and skill damage to 30% if you could double up both buffs at the same time. So now you guys are already gonna be sitting at 25%, so you're at 50%, and then add on your additional 30% there, as long as you keep the buffs going. So that 30%, ooh, excuse me, that 30% right there in combination with that 50%, now we're sitting at a good 80% weapons damage. That's just your weapons damage. It's gonna be a little different with your, actually no, yeah, that's about right, because remember, that's gonna cover both your skill and weapons damage. Okay, so we're getting a nice amount of damage in combination using the ground control here, as well as you are supporting your team. So you kind of all around over here with damaging. You have armor, you got weapons damage, you have armor, and then you have your high skill tier with you healing in combination with using a skill, using your drone. So that's when the skills come to play here. So we're gonna run the Restore a Hive, and then we're gonna run the Striker Drone. These are both gonna be put at tier 5, running the, you know, the Technician Specialization, because you get that +1 added to it. Without it, you're only gonna have 4 skill tiers here. With the Technician Specialization, you'll bump that up to 5. Okay, and this is how this whole setup is gonna work overall together. So you'll be able to heal and dish out damage while you also have a nice amount of armor at the same time. Okay, and this is good for, like I said, this is a supportive role, so it's good for those LFG random teams that you just hop in just to do missions with. Can you probably use this in solo and control points? Probably. I haven't tried it yet. But the biggest thing is this is a supportive role here with this setup with Future Initiative. Okay, so I showcased that earlier with the team play not too long ago. So yeah, give this a try for my newer agents. Vets, definitely chime in on what setup you probably can use. So remember this, if you don't have exotics, then you can still use this setup. If you don't have exotics, then as you start to get exotics, like let's say the moment you guys get either capacitor, will definitely help too. With this, if you want to run St. Elmo's engine, you could definitely run St. Elmo's engine using ACS 12, or if you want to run a regular named one, and you use, let's see, Scorpio for more crowd control, yeah, you definitely could do that. So this is just like I said, this whole thing is if you don't have exotics, especially with the armor setup too here, because normally with this setup here, if you don't have the BTSUs, this is what a lot of people will normally run in combination with Future Initiative, because it stacks up. Then it's going to be able to let you get that overcharge. You can see the transference overclock there. You'll get 15% hive skill haste, and then it's going to grant you overcharge for 15 minutes when you detonate the hive. And if you're at tier 6, it's going to give all the allies overcharge. So if you don't have that, this is what this armor setup, or those exotic gloves, you can add that into this build. So, but this is, like I said, this is when if you don't have any exotics, you can run this setup. Okay, guys, as I showed in the gameplay footage. So definitely give it a try. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments if you like it. Let's see here. Alright, cool, man. Like I said, if you like the video, give a like and subscribe. This is pretty easy supportive role build. It's not as complicated as some of the other builds. But yeah, give it a try. Alright, man. Warfare. Yo.